Hey. Welcome to the very first episode of Better Products by Design podcast. I'm Harko, your guide on this amazing design journey. You guys were unbelievable with the love and support you showered on our intro episode. If you missed that, get to know us segment, you definitely want to give it a listen. Today, we are diving into something that's close to my heart, the alchemy of designing great products. Plus, stick around for a personal story of mine that's filled with ups, downs, and in betweens. So, go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and let's dive right in. Alright, let's kick it off. What's the fuzz about product design? So, imagine you're using Uber for the first time. You're a little late and need to rush. You open the app and boom, it's straightforward. No hassle, you get a car within minutes. You know exactly when it will arrive, who the driver is, and how much it will cost. That's not just luck, believe me. That's design, people. Someone meticulously planned that experience to be seamless. So, what's the big deal? Imagine if that Uber app was, let's say, a hot mess. You'd be there tapping away, getting more and more frustrated, and probably even later than you were before. But when it's designed well, even a simple car ride feels like a win. It's like the app gets you. Now, that's the kind of friend we all need in our pockets, right? Now, where does this friendliness come from? Time for some detective work. But no need to for like a fancy hat or a pipe. Just good old curiosity about what makes people tick. Did you know the Uber app shows you where your car is in real time? That's because someone figured out that we all hate just standing there, wondering where our ride is. So they just made sure you can watch your car getting closer and closer. It's not a gimmick, guys. It's just like having a mini piece of mind button right there on your screen. Now let's just talk about something serious. So, guys, just buckle up. If you ever been lost in your career, oh boy, you're gonna relate to this one. So, let me give you like a bit of my backstory. I started my architecture studies in 2013, and it was a 5 year roller coaster. I mean, I was head over heels in love with everything about it, buildings, designs, you name it. But here's the kicker, right? By the time I was wrapping up those 5 years, I had this gut feeling like, is this really what I want to do for the rest of my life? During the midst of my bachelor's, I even did an internship at Mofa Studios in Delhi. Oh man, I have to give a big shout out to Abhishek, my mentor back then. Those 6 months at Mofa were like living in a dream. The office was bustling, the vibe was electrifying, and every day felt like a scene from a movie. I feel you can imagine that. But even with all that excitement, as I was graduating, I still had questions in my mind. I'd been all about architecture, sketching, and planning until late hours at night. But at the end of it all, I was left with more questions than answers about my future in it. Then the universe intervened. One day, out of the blue, Abhishek calls me. He's left architecture and started a startup, Uni.xyz. I was like, whoa, are you for real? So I go visit him, brownies in my hand, because who doesn't love brownies? Seeing him in that startup environment, oh man, it was infectious. I wanted in. You could taste the excitement in the air, and I thought, why not give it a shot? So you're probably wondering what's it like to make such a big shift from architecture to product design, right? Uh, well, let me tell you, it's like night and day in some ways, but feels so right. See, in architecture, a project can take years to come to life. You're spending endless days and nights on drafts, plans, and 3D models, right? Then There are all those meetings with clients, engineers, and local authorities. And even after all of that, it might take years before you see a building standing. I mean, the gratification exists, but it's a slow burn, and sometimes you're left wondering, did I really create that? Because the process is so extensive and involves so many people, you almost lose a sense of ownership over your designs. And that got me thinking. For a while, I had been asking myself, is this what I want for the next 10, 20, or 30 years? And the answer was a big fat no. It wasn't because I didn't love architecture. I absolutely did. But the pace and the immediate impact wasn't there. I'd seen some of my peers in the same spot year after year, and I couldn't picture myself there. So I started exploring. I'd had this itch about UX design for a while, and I started talking to people who had made the jump from architecture or other design fields into the digital space. What really struck me was how happy they seemed. They talked about their projects with a kind of enthusiasm that I hadn't seen in my architecture circles for quite some time. There was something about the digital world that seemed to fulfill them in ways I felt I was missing out on. The pace in product design is exhilarating. You sketch an idea, you prototype it, and you can test it almost immediately. You are iterating all the time, getting real feedback from real users, and making real time changes. It's almost like instant gratification, but in a meaningful way, you see, and feel the impact of your work quickly. And there's something incredibly rewarding about that. So for me, the choice became clear. It was time to make that shift, and looking back, it was one of the best decisions I have ever made. So, another burning question I often get is, did anything from your architecture days help you in the world of product design? You betcha. Surprisingly, architecture and product design have a lot in common when it comes to foundational skills. In architecture, every single design decision is rooted in strong logic. Why is this column here? Why did we use glass instead of brick? All these questions have well thought out answers. The same applies to product design. Every button, every color, every micro interaction is there for a reason. So, yeah, I mean, that logic thinking and reasoning is something I have carried over. Also, architecture schools ingrains design thinking and iteration into you. But here's the kicker, the scale is so much smaller in digital products, which allows you to see results quicker. Plus, you can measure those results, tweak the design, and iterate. It's a loop, but a quick one. In architecture, once that building is up, making changes isn't easy, folks. I mean, yeah, obviously, you cannot just bring down the building again. It's like chiseling into stone. Whereas in digital design, it's more like sketching with a pencil. You can easily erase or redraw. Okay, let's not sugarcoat it. But was it all smooth sailing? No way. I mean, there was a ton I had to learn from scratch when I moved to product design. Uh, Research methods, industry jargon, not to mention tools. And speaking of tools, Figma was an entirely new playground for me. But here's the funny part, if you have survived architecture design tools like AutoCAD, Rhino, Grasshopper, or even SketchUp, picking up something like Figma is a walk in a park. Seriously, architecture software will give you a run for your money. So, digital design tools felt almost like a vacation. Still, I'm learning something new every day. That's part of the excitement and why I absolutely love what I do now. Alright, for those who are just dipping their toes into product design waters or thinking about making the switch, listen up. My first piece of advice is to find a mentor. Trust me, A one-to-one chat with someone who's down the path you are considering is more valuable than 100 YouTube tutorials. No offense to YouTube though. For this, I would suggest people to look into ADP List. It's a wonderful platform for like booking one-to-one sessions. That has also helped me out to get mentorships for my projects in the get-go. And another thing, like you can also look for articles. Like there are platforms like Medium, so you can go there and look for latest articles and stories. Anything written by people who have made the jump from other design fields to product design. Listen to their experiences, both the highs and lows. You'll get a real world peek into what you are getting into. You know what they say? Knowledge is power, but experience is priceless. And hey, don't overlook the good old book. There's still something sacred about flipping through a book that's designed to guide you into a new realm. It's like holding a map to an unexplored treasure island. Now, for the social butterflies out there, or those looking to become one, I highly recommend diving into UX design communities on platforms like Discord. Oh man, it's such a fantastic way to network, share ideas, and even team up for design challenges. Places like Design Buddies and Iterate UX are like virtual coffee shops where you can bump into all sorts of interesting people. I have been a part of both of them and I can say like it's just good treat to be there. You can even join a team and collaborate on a challenge to get a first hand feel of the process. This also serves as a sort of a litmus test to see if this field is really for you. So there you have it. Advice from someone who's been there, done that, and bought the t-shirt? Or should I say designed the app? uh, you can believe we are already at the end. Time flies when you are diving deep into designer. If this episode hit home for you, or even if it just tickled your curiosity, hit that share button and pass it along to your buddies. Now, let's keep this better products by design conversation going beyond just this episode because it's not just about designing good products. We are talking stellar products, the kind that make people go, wow, I can't imagine my life without this app. And yeah, that's the wow factor we are all aiming for on this podcast. Oh man, you guys are in for a treat in our next episode. Drum roll, please. We have got Kimberly joining us, a bona fide entrepreneurial genius who's a whiz at turning mere ideas into, well, things you can't live without. Seriously, you don't want to miss that. So keep those creative juices flowing and those sketching pencils even sharper. Remember, you're just one idea away from your next big thing. Until we meet again in the digital realm, take care and keep pushing those pixels. Catch you on the flip side.